Everybody know? Go ahead and fire away. What do you got for us today, Mike?
No opening statement, huh?
No.
The evolution of this offense, what Dirk Cutter and Taylor Green did on Saturday night. We've all had a chance to say what we thought. What did you see, and how did it evolve?
Well, I mean, obviously Taylor had a huge game, did a phenomenal job running the ball and handling his responsibilities within the reads. And there's still more out there that we can continue to grow on. That's the biggest thing. You know, there's obviously plenty of things on the film that we can keep working to build on. But Taylor obviously did a nice job running it. And coach and the offensive staff recognized some things there at halftime that we can work off of, and you know they did a really nice job there in the second half. The players, the O-line played really well. You know they were able to handle the box and all the different looks we were getting, and it helps too when the quarterback and is able to create some number issues on the perimeter, and so that's when the offense comes together, and you know the backfield and the quarterback are helping the O-line, and obviously the O-line's doing a lot of work for the inside run game that allowed George and Ashton to have some explosive runs. We had 15 explosive plays on offense. Now, again, that's only 1 week. We got a lot of work to do this week to prepare for the opponent that we're going to face.
As much detail as you feel comfortable doing, can you take us through that conversation at halftime? Was it a 15-second conversation, a 5-minute conversation, just you and Taylor and Dirk and just
No, well, I mean, it always starts off with the coaches first, and typically it's about 5 minutes, you know, just with the amount of time you get during halftime and stuff. You know, it's really our coaching staff in general. I mean, Nate Potter has a lot to do with the run game and the design of the run game and the looks and the organization throughout the course of the week. Obviously, Coach Cutter's calling the plays, and so it was awesome to see them in there at halftime working together to bring the information to the table based off of what happened in the first half and the looks and the certain things that we wanted to get to. And, you know, then it's a matter of going into the locker room then and getting with the guys and being able to explain and build the confidence into them as what the plan's going to be going into the second half and how we're going to be able to start fast. And it was just a really good job overall by the coaching staff, by the offensive coaching staff, and the players executing the plan. At the end of the day, it's the players on the field. And, you know, the one thing I would say, too, is there are some really good blocks by the wide receivers downfield that actually sprung, whether it be Ashton, George, Talon, Free. And there were some things, too, within the passing game that, you know, we're going to be able to continue to improve on with the wide receivers. And we're excited about, you know, what the run game opens up and some of those things as well.
Some unknown going into that game from like the San Diego State side. What was Dirk going to do? How was Taylor going to fit in? Now that there's a full game and particularly the second half on tape for teams moving forward like a Fresno State, what's the challenge like for you guys to keep evolving this and add your wrinkles and things like that?
Yeah, and you mean coming out of the first week, again, there was plenty of things within the game plan that we didn't even get to because of what we stayed with in the second half. And that's why every week is a new week. You know, what happened last week was last week. We learned from the good, we learned from the bad, and everywhere in between. And how do we apply that and grow forward? That's college football. That's every single week. You have to be able to do that. And that's, you know, the coach is putting a plan together, the players studying it, the players understanding their opponents. Obviously, that's all of us doing that together because the process matters every single week. You've got to be able to grow off the things that you did the week before.
Certain installs, but like what did it take from the players to learn as much as they did about what you guys wanted to do on offense in that 6-7 day span last week?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not like there wasn't a ton of new stuff. You know, and obviously you guys get to talk to Coach today. There's, you know, there is some new terminology. There's a few new concepts that are exciting for the quarterbacks within the passing game to have easy progressions, easy reads, and to be able to execute those things. Now it's just going to take us time. It's not going to happen overnight, right? It takes time at repping these things like we're talking about. We're talking about the DNA plays that go in each week that may have a different pre-snap look, but you can't change up what you're doing every single week. It's about doing it better and changing up the pre-snap looks. I mean, that's football. The good teams, you know, do things really consistently and do them well week in and week out.
We saw a lot of success with the read option. Was that one of those new things that was in this week? Or?
No, it's been in. We just obviously hadn't got to it, so we just haven't seen it. Even last year, we'd used a little bit of it, but given the nature of our personnel, just allowing guys to be in the position that they do things that they do well, and what does that do then? What does that do to the box? Teams can't. It makes teams adjust their numbers, whether it's the numbers in the box, the numbers on the perimeter, the coverages they're playing, and all those things. And so, that still puts a lot of work out in front of us, because now we got to stay ahead of that stuff. And, like we were talking about a second ago, how do we build on top of what we did? What's coming next, and what are the things that we're gonna have to do within this plan and that we create throughout the week to allow us to be successful.
You mentioned how explosive the running game was. How much of a catalyst can that be for you guys, and how much can you lean on that three-headed monster in the backfield?
Well, there's no secret to it. Championship teams can run the football. You look at the teams that have been successful in this conference. You look at the teams that have been successful in college football, and even, to a certain extent there, obviously in the NFL. You can run the football. You can stop the run. You can be efficient. You can be explosive down the field. So having those guys back there, having Ashton, even T. Crow jumped back there and did a nice job back there in the backfield this last week as well. Having those guys be able to, and it starts with the O-line, right? Because they're not doing what they're doing interiorly without those guys. They played really, really well, and I think that should go noted as well.
What did you see from him last week? Jumping in full go, and only had a week to get ready for a game. Just what were your thoughts on seeing him throughout the week and then coaching in the game, obviously?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it was obviously a lot of work for him. There's a ton that goes into this, and he, his role was not anything near what it was this past week, but he's done this a while, so he was able to jump back in and lead and lead in a real way. Be real with the players, be honest with them about the things that we got to be accountable to, the things that we got to be better at, so that we can play more efficiently. We can play more consistently on all levels of the offense. And, then again, it takes time. There's a lot of things we got to get better at. It takes time to implement those things, to build the confidence, to work it in the meeting room, to show it, to teach it, and then obviously to take it to the field. And so the biggest thing this week, for all of us is just not only on offense, but, on defense and special teams, how do we move forward? How do we grow forward and build off of what we are able to do?
We've talked a lot about Talen's physical abilities. A lot's been thrown at him the last 10 days. What kind of a sponge does he have upstairs in terms of being able to absorb all this and take it out on the field on a Friday or Saturday night?
Yeah, he's, I think the biggest thing is, again, he's had a plan. He's had a plan. He's been in the plan, throughout the course of the season here. He's just got his opportunity. And it was awesome for him to be able to take advantage of his opportunity. As we all know, and I've said it already, there's plenty of things that we've got to continue to grow on. And he will, because he cares. He's excited. He wants to do well for his team. Obviously, the guys love him. He brings an excitement to our team. And we all just got to keep growing forward and helping him and creating a plan and putting our best foot forward to help him.
What do you see from Sam, and what's his role moving forward?
Yeah, Sam's always going to be a part of the plan too. Like, Sam deserves a role. Sam has done a really nice job. Now that's a guy right there where his reps increased tremendously last week, and to see the energy in him and to be able to see him jump in there and get a lot more in practice and obviously get into the game, which was part of the plan and it will be going forward. We're just really excited for him. He's got a tremendous arm. He's extremely bright, and he can run around too.
Looking at Saturday with Fresno State, it looks like they're kind of in a similar position we were last week. Tough non-conference loss, now starting their conference season. What do you make of what they're bringing to the table?
Every week's a new week, and they got tremendous players. Obviously everyone knows Jake got hurt, but if you look at Logan's throwing the ball for 79%, and he jumped in there against USC, did well. And this last week, you're dealing with some weather conditions for both teams and all that stuff. Logan can play, and they got tremendous wide receivers. Every week is a new week. They got great coaches. They got guys that are experienced. Okay, this is going to be a tremendous challenge, and that's the way we're approaching it. And we obviously know that's the way they're gonna be their best when they show up here.
How well have you gotten to know Kirby more over the years, and what's it like for you facing a member of the Brotherhood this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously knowing Kirby and being around him and all those things, and knowing his family and all that stuff. It's when you're in this game long enough in this business, you come across that quite often. You know, you know a lot of the opposing coaches and things like that, and have respect for them and all those things. You know, and my hat's off to Kirby. He's a young coach that's done a tremendous job, obviously getting himself to the point where he is as an offense coordinator at this point in his career.
You talked a lot about mentality and stuff this season. On Ashton's touchdown run, OJ pancakes a 3-time All Mountain West defensive end, and Ty Neal seals arguably the best linebacker in the Mountain West. And Ashton makes a really nice move on a really talented safety. How much did that play kind of embody what you wanted to see when it comes to mentality?
You know, it starts right with the confidence and building that, and that's where, through the course of last week, and we're going to have to do it better this week. Through the course of last week, that just kept building. You can feel it inside. Obviously, we didn't start as fast as we wanted to in the first half last week, but that didn't just start in the second half. The guys, they worked at it. They were committed last week, and for those guys to be able to play the way they did, the way the tight ends blocked last week, we got to do it even better this week. The O-line, that was by far their best game. We got to build off of that and do it better, because the opponent we're playing is going to require that. So to build that confidence and play with that certain mentality is awesome for those guys. I was so excited for them to see, so that they can see what they're capable of, who they're capable of being as individuals, as players, but more importantly, what that individual play of everybody doing their job brings to the team.
You talk about that belief, like a guy like Talon. I mean, it's one thing to do in practice, as we've known this season. It's another thing to do in the game. How much more confidence is he operating with right now that he's put together 6 pretty darn good quarters?
Yeah, again, he will tell you with a smile on his face. He's like, "Yep, I'm going to keep going. I got a lot more to learn." And every time he steps out there, he's going to get an opportunity to get better. He's going to get an opportunity to learn, and obviously in practice first, and then with his opportunities, how he grows each week, and when he steps in there. And the same for Sam, right? Those guys are both young. There's always something to be said about the veteran players because they have the experience, right? And how we gain that experience is the most vital thing, again, whether it's from the things we did well and how can we do them better, the things we didn't do well, and everywhere in between.
I didn't ask you after the game. Obviously, we're focused on the game, but you're 4-year senior and starting quarterback besides the transfer in the middle of the season. What was the reaction like around?
Yeah, we're moving forward. Sorry, BJ, but we're moving forward, man. This week's this week.
Andy, DJ Schramm, Defensive Player of the Week. You obviously know the position.
Yeah.
He's playing at an all-league caliber level. What is this season he's having surprising you? I mean, why is he having such a good season?
Well, he had a really good offseason. He got his body prepared. He got his body in shape, and it's the family business for him, right? His father's been a college football coach, and so he's an extremely bright football player. He's a bright individual, as it is, and he's been really, really productive this year because of the preparation that he's put in. We spoke about it early on coming out of fall camp. He had a really, really good fall camp and did some things that now that everyone else is getting to see, why did he win the will linebacker position? We can all see it now. But the thing about DJ that is, as good as any player that I've been around in a long time is his consistency and how he prepares, how he shows up every day. And he's got an unbelievable personality on top of it. He has a way of making fun out of the hardest work there is, and that's a talent right there that a lot of people don't have.
You mentioned you thought the offensive line had their best game of the season. What do you think went into that? Is that just the offense getting in a rhythm where you can run the ball, and those guys get comfortable, or was it more of a scheme thing?
It's a combination of things. I think it's a combination. Number one, to get in rhythm takes great confidence in knowing what you're doing so that you can play fast. You can play with your feet in the ground. You can play with great eyes. You can play with your feet in the ground, and you can play with some violent hands. And at the end of the day, okay, it's everybody. It takes everybody to play well. Okay, it takes everybody for the quarterback to play well, including us as coaches. It takes everybody for the O-line to play well. You know, on the shot to Billy, the one we took over the top early there. I mean, let's be honest, that was a clean pocket. That's what we've been looking to improve upon. And Sam was able to, you know, step up in that pocket and let that thing go. And those are the little things we got to continue to build up. Now we blew 2 other protections, you know, that we've got to get better at. But that's not the O-line. It's not just them. You know, there's the protection's getting set by somebody. There's not just the O-line in protection like we've talked about. It's everybody coming together. But I would say this, you know, when you add that quarterback run number into the run game, like you guys hear me talk about, if we got to defend a quarterback run number, it spreads the defense out a little bit.
You saw Taylor. I mean, he didn't have too many runs in the first half. Obviously, Sam was in there for a little bit. But the second half, I mean, he goes 2 straight runs on the read option, and it just seemed like from that point on, his confidence was through the roof. The defense had to, you know, defend 3 runners. I mean, did you notice kind of a shift once he started pulling the ball? Like, okay, this defense has a lot more on their plate.
Well, I mean, we see it at practice. We've seen it in practice, you know, and everyone else got to see it, you know, out there. In the first game of the year, he had a long run, you know, and so, but to answer your question, that brought energy into our team. That didn't bring energy just into the offense. That brought energy into the whole team. And more importantly, it gave the offense a rhythm that obviously Coach Cutter and the rest of the offense staff were able to work off of throughout the second half.
You mentioned Sam's deep pass.
Sorry, hold on real quick. What's that?
You mentioned Sam's deep pass. I mean,
Yeah.
that was maybe one of the most accurate passes thrown by a Boise State quarterback all year. How talented is Sam when it comes to throwing the ball?
His arm is he's got an extremely strong arm now. Like that was obvious there. I mean, he can throw it, you know, he can reach up to 60 yards off his back foot. And he's a smart player. He is very bright, and he is when it comes to preparation as a quarterback, he's pretty elite. I mean, he spends the time. Him and Taylor are in there working, and that's why Sam will have a role. You know, both these guys deserve roles. They're both great young men that have been true to the team and helping this team grow, and we're excited for both of them to help us move forward.
Back to DJ for a second. When I asked Shay about DJ last week, he said that it feels like DJ's the best on the team at being himself. In an era of college sports where the transfer portal allows guys to transfer and move on so freely they don't play, for a guy like DJ to stick it out and reap the benefits, how cool is that to see?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like DJ, whatever DJ does after football too, because of the person he is and who he is, he's going to be successful because he's smart. Again, he's got a great personality. He has real confidence. It's not fake confidence. You know, and that is huge for our team. You know, he's a tremendous leader, not just for the defense, but he's a tremendous leader for our team overall.
What is real confidence?
Well, let's just say this, that like in life, sometimes the fake positives get put on blast real quick. And DJ is a guy that can handle a lot of different things, whether it's a mental, a physical, and, you know, that's like we've spoken about. That's been developed over his time, how his parents raised him, and the things he's been able to do here with his experience.
And you've seen today, like, a lot of SMU players that played 4 games are sitting out for the rest of the season now. It's becoming a thing around the country. I mean, I know you don't want to get specific on players that left, but just in general, is this what the 4-game rule was meant to be? What do you think about
No,
what's
I think
happening?
you're right. It's one of those unintended consequences, and it's the you know, it's a combination. It's not one rule, but it's a bunch of them coming together, and the direction. And like anything else, you adapt. For us, we're very grateful that at most positions we have talented players, we have depth, and the biggest thing for us is that we continue to develop our guys, both as young men, obviously as football players, and they're getting a lot from us every single day. They're not just getting football. We don't just care about football here. I know we got to come up here with their standards to meet. We talk about football all the time. There's a lot more that goes into it, and I think at the end of the day, well, I know at the end of the day that that's what college sports is about. And wherever the new rules and moving schools and all that stuff changes the game, there is still the aspect of collegiate sports that the camaraderie, not only of the team, but the university, the athletic department. That's what makes college great.
You guys have been against Mountain West QBs this year. They're 11 of 44 for 131 yards against your defense. Why have you guys been so good against the pass so far?
Well, I'm going to say this. We're facing one of the most explosive pass offenses in the nation right now. So what we've learned from our first few games, whether it be in our conference or out of our conference, there's been games where we haven't played well in the past game either. So it's about learning from those experiences where we weren't our best, learning from what we were when we were our best. And it's not just the coverage; it's the whole defense playing together. And it starts in the pre-snap and the communication and the things we're doing in the pre-snap. It's a lot easier to cover when you don't have to cover for a long time. The wide receivers we're going to face this week are tremendously talented. It is an unbelievable group, okay? And it brings a great challenge, not just for the secondary, but for our whole defense. And we're going to have a great week of practice.
Talk about some of the skill players for Fresno. They've got 3 or 4 really good receivers. Tim's a running back. How much talent, depth, skill do they have?
They got a lot of team speed, on all together, but on offense, Mims is shown to be extremely explosive in the run game. We've seen that for a few years now. Nico is at their slot, and he is obviously a big part of their return game as well. He's one of the leading returners in the nation, and his role within the offense, whether it's vertical route running, lateral screens and things like that, he gets the ball in his hands. He's explosive, and then you got all the wide receivers on the perimeter. Yeah, there is a great challenge coming. This is a team, and this is a new week. This is a new week that we've got to be our best. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
After the game, Tyreek joked that he's glad he's not an opposing offensive player in Albertson Stadium due to the crowd noise. When you go,
Yeah.
I know we asked about this after the game. When you go back and look, they really do dictate some of the things that go on for opposing offenses and put you in favorable situations. How much is that really helpful for you guys?
The Albertson Stadium is one of the best venues in all of college football. And I don't say that because it's my alma mater and I coach here. It is Bronco Nation when they fill that thing up and they're loud. It is a home field advantage, and we're very grateful for that. Friday night was exceptional, and we're very grateful for our home crowd and our fans, and they come out and the way they support, and we're looking forward to having them do it again. That's a big part of who we are here, is the support from Bronco Nation, and the players feed off of that too. Okay, they do, and I think it goes hand in hand with our fan base over the course of the years, deep into the tradition, not just the most recent, but deep into the tradition of what it means to be a part of Bronco Nation and to be a part of this state, to be a part of this valley. And I'll be honest with you too, the amount of people that come into town on a game weekend.
Andy?
Sometimes you don't show a ton of emotion on the sidelines. We saw you after one of those false starts, really getting the crowd pumped up and stuff. What got into you at that moment, I guess, or what was the reason there for why you were so pumped
Just
up?
having fun, man. The crowd's having fun. It's exciting to see. That's what it is. It's our team and it's our fan base. That's us working together, and it's fun to see. It's exciting to be on the field too. That never gets old.
Andy, this football program has been through so many highs and lows so far this season. You use the word consistency a lot. How do you coach consistency moving forward here with this team now?
So it starts with our plan as coaches. It starts how we every week's a new week, okay? But it's not a new process. That's the consistency and the players' understanding. There's more guys up there watching film. Usually it wouldn't have been till a Monday night. There's already guys on a Monday morning up in there watching film on their opponent. There are guys that are building their routines that create consistency. They've seen what happens when they invest. We've also seen what happens when we don't, Mike. We've been on both sides of that fence. what are the things that we can do that are really simple, that we can do really well in terms of our preparation. That's where the consistency starts. That's where the confidence, the real confidence, is built, through our preparation and how we work together throughout the week. We all individually got our own roles, we got our own jobs. Everybody underneath this roof has a job, and we got to find the great joy and the pride and the fun in doing that well.
Do you have a good read on that, and do you feel like you've gone past the highs and the low stage, and this football program for the next 6 weeks beyond can be consistent and level?
We determine that. And do I have a good feel from our team and their want to? Yeah. It's like we told you guys last week, we believe in this team. We believe in these guys. We love these guys. They're fun to be around. When you work really hard and you invest into something, you obviously want to get a return on your investment. And so we've got to continue to stay committed to the investments that it's going to take for us to be consistent. And again, that doesn't start on game day. That starts on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
How did Saturday's post-game locker room scene compare to other victories? Did it seem like it was a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. The guys, we all know what it was last week. And for those guys to stay together and fight even harder for each other, that's why we do what we do. That's why we put the work in for them to help them be as successful as they can. And, as much as the locker room and all that stuff from last week, again, that was last week, but even more so to be able to see them on the field, in that second half last week, that was a treat to be able to see them do the things they did out there in their stadium. Now, again, that's all last week. That's not just going to happen this week. It's a new opponent that is going to come in here very hungry, and we've got to work our tails off this week to prepare for the challenge that's coming.
What are your thoughts through 5 games on your wide receivers? I mean, there's a lot of external factors, and other people have to do their jobs, but they haven't had a ton of production yet this season. How does that change?
Well, it's just we've talked about that already. There's a new coordinator in place, and that's the part of the process of building and growing. And I'm very confident in those guys. Those guys work hard, and that shows how selfless they are too, and the way they were blocking the other night. When you put that much hard work into something and you're talented, it will come in time. Things don't always come, unfortunately, as fast as you would want it, but with the direction we are going, obviously there is an emphasis to get those guys more opportunities, not just the wide receivers, the tight ends, and that whole piece.
The running game has been inconsistent this year, but it looked unstoppable in the second half last week. Was Taylon Green the missing link to that running game?
Again, you add in a quarterback run number, it's always challenging on defenses. So, now it's about where do we go from here? How do we stay ahead of what the next opponent's going to do? Because they have the film, and again, they got really good coaches, they got really good players. So it's how do we stay ahead of it, and how do we move forward and build?
Ashton Kenzie's almost halfway through his first season of college football. What has been the most impressive thing about him, and how explosive is he?
Well, number one, he's a true freshman, so to be able to see a guy, through the first half of the season just be consistent week to week, that's what makes it hard. There's guys that come into college that are really talented, but it takes a certain level of maturity. And like we were talking about a second ago, consistency. I know as a freshman and going into college way back when, I remember I had to learn. You guys all probably had to figure that out too when you went to college. You're away from home for the first time. It's not just playing football. There's a lot of other things that go into it. And we talk about it all the time. I know you guys don't get to see all those things and how these young men are growing and how they're handling themselves, which we care deeply about as a staff and as a program. And it's just an example for him, is his level of maturity, his consistency, and then, he's very talented. And it's the bottom line. Is there a lot of things that he needs to keep getting better at and learn? Yeah, we all have those things, but he's extremely talented, and we're looking forward to seeing him continue to grow.
Last question. One thing I remember about Khalil last year, if you watched him on the sideline, looked like he was all over. Like he would go to the defensive line group, and he wasn't just like with the wide receivers or even the offense. And notice JL the other night, like he was over with the offensive lineman at one point. He was the first guy to greet Taylon Green coming off the field. Like I don't know if that was just coincidence or not, but I don't know. Have you noticed that with Jalen, or excuse me, with JL, and how maybe his leadership has grown?
I noticed it with a lot of guys the other night, and that's the guys coming together and supporting each other and showing their confidence that they have in each other, and that's showing each other that they have each other's back and that they're in it together. And obviously where we go forward with that is everything, because it is about them. It is all about our players. Everything we do is for them, to continue to help them grow, to help them find ways to thrive individually and obviously collectively as a team.